Welcome back to the NFPT Podcast, where we make you feel confident walking into your CPT exam. Here we are, episode 18 of the NFPT Podcast. And today, by popular demand, we have a third part of memorization tips and tricks to help you pass your CPT exam confidently and on the first time. I'm your host, Erin Mahoney, General Manager of NFPT and a longtime certified personal trainer using these memory tricks over and over. So let's get started. We have a few more examples for you today. But first off, let's talk about when to use these memorization tricks. And all right, first things first, don't just start memorizing. Watch your micro video lessons, go through the reading, and then anytime you find yourself reading something over and over, that's when you probably need to use one of these tricks. You could also wait until you take a quiz and just see what you didn't get right. But I like to use the rule of thumb. If I've had to read it more than twice, then I probably need to lean on something else in order to remember this concept. And it's exceptionally helpful with new and unusual terms, as a lot of these are for new personal training students. And you'll see them right in those first few chapters, which can be really frustrating because you get excited about becoming a certified personal trainer, and then you find out that there are some concepts that don't seem so easy. So when this happens, it's also good to use these tricks because it will help you with a nice little motivation push. And here's a tip for you. Knowing just a few of these memory tricks will help you with many questions. So if I give you 3 tricks today, which I will, that doesn't mean they're only going to help you with 3 questions. It means these concepts, remember, they come up over and over again. So these are going to be very helpful for you because they stack. The information stacks. And by the time you get to chapter 10 and 15, you'll have the information at your disposal to be able to figure out more of these application oriented questions. All right, let's start with the ATPCP energy system. You might also see it as ATPPC, same thing, but this is an energy system and it can get quite complicated. But what you want to know for test day, and even when you're training clients, is you just want to know how this energy system works and how long it lasts. But you might get a couple of questions that are a little bit more definition oriented or memorization oriented. So, this is how I like to go about memorizing this. So, with ATP, what I want to remember is that the powerhouse of the cell is mitochondria. And some of our students in the past have said that they learned that much younger, like in grade school, that the mitochondria is also known as the powerhouse of the cell. Do they ever tell you why? The reason why mitochondria is considered the powerhouse of the cell is because it's where it stores ATP. So ATP is stored in the mitochondria. Now, how does that all fit together? And how is this a memory trick in the first place? I like to associate the P in ATP with powerful movements. Okay. So I'm always trying to associate different letters with things that will make sense for me. So if I can remember that the ATP in the ATPCP energy system is for powerful movements, then I know powerful movements are typically very short in duration and that energy goes away fast. All right. So, with that being said, we know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and it's the powerhouse of the cell because of that P and ATP. And the ATP is the energy system for quick, powerful movements. So, there you go. There you have it. And it takes about 3 minutes for it to replenish. So, that's why you can't just do powerful movements over and over because that ATP has to replenish. All right, let's move on to ligaments versus tendons. And I struggled with this when I was going through my CPT, but there's not too many questions. And they're just two important types of connective tissue. One of them connects bone to bone, and the other one connects muscle to bone. And if you find yourself just going over it again and again, you just can't seem to remember, use this. I like to remember the L in ligaments link bones together. So ligaments link bones together. And then, so you could use the counterpart and know, okay, if ligaments link bones together, then tendons must be attaching muscle to bone. But if you can't remember that, or if you want another memory trick to leverage, you can also remember the 10 in tendon connects to muscles, which muscles produce tension, right? So tendon, tension, they go together. And that is how I remember the difference between ligaments versus tendons. And when you go through your studies, here's a nice feeling is to know that you don't have to memorize the specific ligaments and tendons. So you don't have to know the ACL and the MCL and all of that. We just need to know what the difference is between the two of them. All right, lastly, let's talk about plantar flexion versus dorsiflexion. Now, these are part of your joint motion. So you'll come across them in biomechanics, and they have the potential to derail you. So, what I mean by that is a lot of the other joint motions can become more straightforward. You might know flexion and you know extension and abduction and adduction, but then you get up against plantar flexion and dorsiflexion and you panic. And then you might assume it's the right answer or the wrong answer because you don't remember the definition for them. So let's fix that, okay? They are counterparts, just like the other joint motions. So that means one is a motion in one direction and the other one is the opposite motion. And how I remember the difference of these is the P in pointing your toes. I associate that P with plantar flexion. So I know if I am pointing my toes, I am just sitting here pointing my toes down. That is the P for plantar flexion. And if I know that, then I know that dorsiflexion is the counterpart. So dorsiflexion is when I'm flexing the foot up, where that toe, the big toe, comes towards me. So there you have it, plantar flexion versus dorsiflexion. And as we wrap up part 3 in this episode, remember these are memory tricks are great for foreign terms that you see in anatomy, physiology, and biomechanics. And then not just related to definition, they're also going to help you in application-oriented questions. So when you get up against a question that is more about program design, remember, it's okay to go through it slowly at first, as you should, because you want to be searching in the stem of that question if there's any memory tricks that you can apply, and then you apply them, because you won't always be able to know the answer right off the bat. And by the way, it's okay to always rely on these memory tricks. I know I do, and it helps me feel confident when I'm talking about the information, when I'm reading in the information, and when I'm writing the information. So no big deal. All right. If you're starting to realize that going through your CPT doesn't have to be complicated and NFPT is the answer, then that is the NFPT differentiator. And you should be thinking about enrolling in your NFPT CPT today because you already have some of these answers. But if you're already enrolled in a CPT, then you should definitely check out our recorded exam prep series. These are on-demand webinars that make all the information much more digestible than probably what you're going through at the moment. All right, thank you so much for joining. Can't wait to chat with you again soon. Until then, be well and keep moving. Today's episode is brought to you by Summit Professional Education. Unlock your potential with Summit Professional Education, your trusted partner for expert-led courses, flexible learning, and essential CEUs. Elevate your skills today at summiteducation.com.